so I can say that.
And go up to the state level?
I can't pull rank on you.
Okay. Go to the local level. Okay, I'll start with the local level.
You thought I was a youngster, huh?
Yeah.
So, we've always had this issue in San Francisco of being kind of what's called fake progressive, right? The whole NIMBY thing of like, yeah, it's cool, but just don't do it near me. Oh yeah, I support that, but not really.
It's called wienerism.
Wienerism, yes, wienerism. As a matter of fact, we're eating wieners. Right?
Oh, God.
So, you've got all of the sort of industry folk banking on is that you don't care, right? And that you're not informed. That's what these guys are banking on. So, I'm not going to talk for very long, but I do want to get some ideas out there just so that we're thinking about them.
Over here. Come on, guys. Come on now.
It's okay. We got dogs and everybody going every which way.
Stay over here. I don't want him around that.
AUMA sucks.
UMA does suck. I'll talk about that after I talk about local really quick. So we have a task force in San Francisco, but it is not a medical cannabis task force like the one Axis of Love created with David Campos. This is a state legalization task force created with conservative Scott Wiener and industry lobbyists. That's very different than how we created David Campos's task force. And I'm going to tell you how we created that, because the organization that is here celebrating, we created that. And what we did is we gave every single club a seat and a vote. We gave every known patient group a vote as we were creating it. If you had a patient group going for at least, 2 years, bam, you had a vote in the working group as we were creating it. So as they were creating this task force, I was on it. I was calling Scott Wiener's office saying, yeah, we'd like to sit down and see what's going on with your task force. They purposefully made sure that no independent patient advocate is seated on a state legalization task force. Now you might say, who cares? Well, you should care. Because one of the things you want to do with recreational cannabis, with social use cannabis, is you want to tax it so that people who need medical cannabis
can get it for free.
Dropping the bucket on the taxes.
Exactly.
Thank you.
But that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen when you just have industry people seated on a task force. So the 2 patient seats were taken by a girl named Sarah from Apothecarium. And she's very nice. But who pays her rent?
Apothecary, the industry.
Who she works for. So is she going to stick up for you, or is she going to stick up for who butters her bread?
The patient.
Right. So in the Campos task force, in order to be seated as a patient advocate, you could not be receiving a paycheck from the industry. You just couldn't. We wrote it that way. We as patients made sure that nobody was going to have a vote who was receiving funds from a club, because then they're always going to be angling for that, right?
Did we vote people in too?
What?
Did we vote people in too?
Right.
I remember voting for you.
Yeah, we had a whole big thing. This was very collegiate. This was very shut mouth. This is they'll call you when they need you to back them up. So the danger of this task force also directly goes to the state level, which was that they basically organized this task force, this legalization task force, to support a really bad ballot, which has now qualified for the ballot, and it's called AUMA. Soon it'll be called Prop something or another once the state gives it its official title. Okay. What you're doing right now, what would happen if this law passed is I would be leaving in handcuffs.
Oh.
and you all would be ticketed.
For $250.
$250 for each of you.
For toking it.
And wait, it gets worse. If you're between the ages of 18 and 21, and you're too poor to pay a fine, 6 months in jail. So who do you think the cops are going to be targeting?
Low income, low
People
income.
who can't afford to pay the ticket, right?
Can't afford $400.
Exactly. We know county jail can often lead to the prison industrial system. We don't want 18 through 21-year-old young adults hanging out in the county jail for 6 months, meeting some really nice domestic violence people, and you know what I mean? We want them in school. We want them thinking about school. We want them thinking about their future, not like, oh my God, I got caught smoking pot, I'm in jail. This is 2016. For any piece of legislation to be proposed that has jail time associated for cannabis, I think, and you can disagree with me, but I think we should just reject it on that basis flat. No jail time for pot. It's a real simple thing. People like Russell Kyle have been fighting for this since the 70s. Okay, since the 60s.
Okay. Will do. Bye.
So, do you want to vote for something that's going to put people in jail for pot,
no.
and they're calling it legalization?
Hell no. And guess what? It'll be mostly black and brown people that go to jail.
Well, jail is really a class line right now. It's really about poor people at this point.
Yeah,
you know,
that too.
that's who's in jail.
We have a lot of them on that always. I just was in LA for 2 months.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Bernie doesn't know the thing about the way they project this, the way they commercialize it, is they say this is anti-monopoly. Their bill isn't anti-monopoly. You know what it does? It sets in stone the monopoly that is right now until 2016. That's not what we want. No, we want fresh blood. We want people that maybe are going to take a better and caring approach. And we want to make sure that the small and the mid-sized businesses that just even kind of sort of give a shit still get to stay on the map. I mean, kind of sort of give a shit, you know, that gets the thumbs up for me right now. I'm like, all right, you kind of sort of give a shit. Great. That's better than that guy. No, really, that's where we are. Very deep commercialization. So what we're going to be doing throughout the month of June is we're going to be in City Hall, and we're going to be talking about closing loopholes and talking about really getting an authentic patient, independent, authentic patient, disabled voice at City Hall again. And the interesting thing is, you know, Campos and Jane Kim and all the progs, they were the only ones willing to stick their neck out for cannabis. And now that they've done all of the hard work, they've paved all the roads with us, the conservatives are swooping in like vultures and trying to take it from San Francisco patients. So I really hope everybody's gonna, you know, kind of keep track of what's going on so that when we all need to get up to City Hall to do public comment, I'll be able to get a hold of everybody because we need to be alert. So I talked a little bit about the state level, but here's some other really ooky stuff going on at the state level. Ready for it?
Yuck.
So they came up with this idea that they wanted a 15% raise in the taxes on medical cannabis. No. Even the most conservative cannabis lobbyists that I hate were like, no, we don't want more taxes. And it didn't get out of the committee. But then at the State House, they have this tricky thing. And they think nobody knows about it. So I want to make sure that everybody knows about it. It's called Rule 62. Guess what Rule 62 is?
Uh-oh.
Nut fell from the tree. It means, it's like Fight Club. There is no rule.
In a nutshell, it means there's no rule.
There's no rules.
They make it up as they go along?
So it didn't get out of the committee. They didn't get their 15% raise. Then they had one committee member call Rule 62. They suspend the rules. They take it to a committee that wasn't even publicly noticed, I'm not kidding you, and voted it in. If you think you're ever going to see a $45 eighth, you're crazy if that goes through. And even a $45 eighth is crazy. It really should be between 25 and 35.
I used to sell them for 12. I used to sell them for $5 an eighth, $10 a quarter, $20 an ounce back in the day.
And they were like, oh, well, we'll, and this is their thing. They're like, oh, but we aren't taxing the patients. We're going to tax the cultivator. But the cultivator is then going to raise his price when he goes to buy his medicine. And then in turn, the merchant is going to raise the price on you. So, absolutely. And they think that we don't know. And they need to ask somebody because we're keeping track of them.
Well, you know what? That's just people talking to be talking. Because they think, you know what? We gonna believe everything they say. It's like we have nothing else in life to do but believe what you think, and it's not true.
Absolutely. And nobody can afford the prices to go up even $1, really.
Right. Even if you're the prices that it is now.
Even if you're, there's no way I could afford the amount of medicine that I need. No way.
If you could grow it for $10 a pound, why do we have to pay that much?
Well, you know what? How much are cigarettes actually?
Going up $2 next month.
Oh, God.
$8 for Newport.
And how much of that is taxes?
About 96%.
It costs about, I think it costs about 50 cents really to make a pack of cigarettes. The rest is all taxes.
So then they get $9.50.
The packaging, yeah.
And that's what we're looking at them wanting to do with cannabis. Does anybody know which lobby is behind all of the moves on cannabis in the State House? Russ is right again. It's the beer and wine lobby. And not only the beer and wine lobby, but the Southern Beer and Wine Lobby. Guess who called the cops on me?
They got all the money.
The Southern Beer and Wine Lobby. So
We know it isn't Woody Harrelson.
no, it's not Woody Harrelson. So we went to Sacramento to protest this very expensive conference they were having about the new cannabis law in the State House, right? It was like $200 to go in the door. And this was a cheap one of their things, right? Usually they're between $600 and $1,000. Right. And so we get to Sacramento, I get a call from the late great John Stone saying, Shona, they've got the cops here for you already.
Oh, God.
I hadn't even gotten out of the car. So, right? Right, I know. But you know what? The Sacramento police came and they asked me, well, why are you, just out of curiosity, why are you protesting? And I told them how much it cost to get in. And they laughed and they looked at all the patients and they looked at the people going in and they went up to the business lobby and said, there's a thing called the Constitution. She's totally within her constitutional rights. There's nothing you can do about her. Interestingly enough, a few of the wealthy gentlemen came out of the conference and kind of pulled a few people aside and said, yeah, this is horrible. There's a class line right there at this entrance, and this is about public policy, right? So that's all really shabby, you know?
Yeah.
But what we did is we let them know that they're not going to get away with this. They thought that they would just skate through, nobody would say anything about all of this. So we got to keep talking about it. One of the things that I want to talk about locally, and I want to invite you all to participate in our PAC, which is called PCUP, which stands for Patients for Compassionate Use Policies. Every Tuesday at 5 o'clock, we're going to be at 91 McAllister at Jane Kim's campaign office.
I was there
At what time?
Second Tuesday of the month. I was there at 5 or had about 2 people that left. Nobody.
At what time?
So it's right around the corner from Carl's Jr.
At the Scientology building.
5 o'clock.
Every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday.
Petition to recall Ed Lee is going to be filed at City Hall this week. Yay.
Good deal.
We're gonna, if you want to circulate petitions to recall the dear Mayor Mustache, talk to us on Facebook. Yeah, Facebook. Denise, Dory, Shona.
So you guys, I want to pass around some joints.
What camera are you shooting from, 1 or 2?
So thanks for tuning in for another very liberal episode of the Liberal Buzz Show. And I have my guest here who took videos of police misconduct, and maybe even Petra de Jesus may call in, we don't know. Hopefully she will. I ran into her at all my club meetings. And we were talking about, because I endorsed Petra de Jesus for District 17, DCCC, representing District 17. And so you can find her on Facebook. And I'll give you more news about her. Hopefully she'll call in. Now, I've got a lot of issues to cover on the laws and how actually the City Hall is getting away with a lot, allowing the police to get away with an awful lot of misconduct. And that's why this is happening. It's not, it goes to the it's political. Actually, Scott Wiener could have made the laws more stringent involving police brutality and accountability, and he declined to do so. And so it's the cops even walked out on the community at the Mario Woods public comment. I was there. They just all walked out in unison. They were told by one person and a higher up in the police department for everyone to walk out and not even listen to our public comments. So with that kind of an attitude, we're going to continue to see violence like Luis, the homeless man, on, I guess it was Clarion Street, so, or was it, Shotwell it was. So, they've got to bond with the community more. That's a solution. That's just my solution to police brutality. This is the man that took a video of an episode that actually went viral. I showed it last week. It was on Eddie and Taylor, where the police had a guy face down kicking him up anyway on the concrete. So we got videos of that, and the police asked to get the video, the camera from Gilbert. And so we're going to get into that a little bit later. So I'm just introducing the show. Maybe she'll call in at 603, 604. Maybe she won't. But this is supposed to be liberal San Francisco. It's the largest police department. It's the best paid in the Bay Area. We have more police officers per person. But the Office of Citizens Complaints is kind of an agency, OCC we'll call it, created by a ballot initiative. But there was an article about it being toothless, it not having, partly because of people aren't being trained properly and they don't have constitutional law. The Office of Citizens Complaints, this is where I left off, was created to calm public outrage at the police department. So. And obviously the police officers' powerful union, they don't like the Office of Citizens Complaints and don't want to be policed. So that's as simply as you can put it. The police don't want to be policed. Instead they want more tasers and more weapons to use on us. So even though there's plenty of countries where cops aren't armed like this, and it's more peaceful for sure. So there's a core of bad cops protected by the POA, and nobody's really disciplining them. So they protect their own, but the San Francisco political establishment allows or even encourages lack of accountability. So racist text messaging cops are still on the force. Those text messages were hideous. So, and with 6 fatal shootings by the SFPD in 2015, and then Luis recently, the homeless Latino. Yeah. And all Mayor Lee can do is force the encampments to go, like the forced march, the march of the
Move them around.
march of the homeless.
Shuffle them
That's
around
all
the
he can
city.
do, even though they're being killed.
Right.
And this guy had an expectation. You know that, by the way, that if you live in a tent, you have an expectation of privacy. If you live, if you're in a public place and the tent's closed, the flaps of the doors are closed, and no one's told you to leave. If no one's told you to leave, you have a reasonable expectation of privacy before they can search you legally. And take videos. Keep taking videos of the cops, because that's legal too. That was ruled on over and over unanimously that taking videos of the police is perfectly legal. And so that must be my guest, Petra. Good evening. Is this Petra De Jesus from the Police Commission?
Right, this is Petra. How are you?
Oh, just great. Glad to hear from you.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I ran into traffic, but I'm here now.
Oh, how wonderful to hear from you. Now, Petra De Jesus is just a rock. The rock of, Petra means rock, and she is the rock of the Police Commission, and we need her in government forever, you know.
That's
So,
thanks.
yes, and so you have an opportunity to support her on the June ballot for the DCCC, and I encourage you to register. If you haven't registered to vote, please do so and vote for her. And there's plenty of good progressive candidates. So, Petra, we were talking about the 6 fatal shootings and and then this latest one of the homeless Latino man. But the mayor ordered the police commission to rewrite the use of force policies. The police union officers association unions complain about their hands being tied, and all they want are more tasers. Is that true? More toys and weapons to use on us?
Right, I mean, that's certainly one of the issues they have is that if they, besides the gun, they need another weapon. They need tasers, but some of us argue that they have other weapons at their disposal, like a baton, a shield, and things that they can use against sharp-edged weapons. But this has opened the door for them to say they need tasers.
So they're going to rewrite the use of force out guidelines to and go from reasonable force to minimal force.
Right. So actually, the way it is right now, what's been in place is for them to use minimal force on all arrests. But we sent out the use of force to work with community groups and the POA, and the POA struck the word minimal force, and they want reasonable force. And that's really not necessary. It should be minimal force if we're changing the whole thought process that, life is, preserving the sanctity of life. Any arrest that they're going to make could be made with minimal force.
Right. Okay, so now when they use minimal force, you're talking about, say, what sort of techniques?
So yes. So a lot of these arrests, or a lot of these officer-involved shootings have dealt with people in crises, people with perhaps mental health issues, maybe people under the influence, but just people in crises, basically. And so the whole idea is really to implement de-escalation practices, how you talk to them, putting time and distance, putting a perimeter, not rushing in, not shouting, not making chaos, basically.
It seems to escalate the situation, not de-escalate it, doesn't it?
Correct.
Especially when someone doesn't speak English. And there's no bilingual. They should have bilingual outreach people. In fact, I think more Americans need to be bilingual anyway.
Can I say something, Denise? This last incident where this was it the city services called the police to get this guy because he had a knife on his belt bucket. Anyway, he was I believe he was an immigrant. He had just become homeless, and perhaps where he came from, the police department is so corrupt that when you get picked up by the police, you're not necessarily going to jail. They take you out to the countryside and kill you. So we're
Ouch.
talking about in Mexico and stuff like that. So if he was an undocumented person from Mexico, when he saw the SFPD coming for him, he saw a death warrant. So I can't speak for him, but I'm just saying people from other countries, they transfer that, but they see their police in their homeland, they see that our police the same way, and it's not the same case.
Now, that's true. Now, what about Malia Cohen? She was looking into having all police shootings investigated by the OCC, not just when someone complains.
Right, and she has that on the ballot, and I think it's for the June ballot, Proposition B.
Oh, is it?
And, yeah,
So we want to urge people to vote yes on B as well as yes on A.
yes on B, you want an automatic investigation of all officers involved shootings, rather than right now, the officer citizen complaint has to wait till there's an actual complaint before they can investigate.
I have a question that's been burning a hole in my brain for a long time. Is City Hall scared, the political structure in City Hall, are they scared of the Police Officers Association union?
You know, I can only talk about my experience on the Democratic Central Committee, and I know when we had the Black Lives Resolution, even though they had worked with the community and on the language, they sent several letters to stop it from coming up on the agenda, postponing it from the agenda, and then ultimately they had it, they had an amendment, well, they didn't have it, but an amendment was made and pretty much gutted the resolution.
Oh. So, because, the OCC, they have like between 800 and 1,000 complaints each year and only 17 people investigating it. Is that true?
So I know they have, I know they're short staffed, and I know that they do have a certain amount of investigators. I think 17 sounds about right. I don't remember how many complaints they have per year, but they are over, they have a lot. They're over what I'm looking for the right word, what the quota really should be per every investigator. Their loads are quite heavy.
Yeah, and they take disciplinary guidelines from the SFPD, the OCC, don't they? The Office of Citizens Complaints, aren't there guidelines from the SFPD themselves?
Well, I mean, it depends, because the OCC also will bring charges against police officers, and when it comes to if they're sustained, then there are certain guidelines that we look at for in terms of punishment. And they do come from the department, not from the COA.
Like suspension without pay and that sort of thing?
Correct.
Yeah. Or maybe a desk job. Are they, by the way, this is a funny question, are they running out of desk jobs for...